Learn what Enzo Maresca had to say after this afternoon's disappointing and uninspiring defeat to Arsenal. Learn why Cole Palmer was not playing today, and we discuss more club plans for the summer window. So tons to break down. Hope you guys enjoy. Don't forget to catch today's videos as well. And without wasting any more time, let's get straight into things. Straight off the bat, why did Cole Palmer not feature today? This afternoon, the big selection surprise was not seeing Cole Palmer in the team. Now, would he have made a massive difference to the result at the end of the day, based on the mentality in which we played with? Probably not, but Cole Palmer still offers a creative outlet for the team and that ability to receive between the lines that no one else can really do, and I thought Enzo Fernandez was very poor in that aspect. But anyway, Maresca did reveal that at the moment, Cole Palmer is suffering with a muscular injury. This means that he won't be taking part in the World Cup qualifiers under Thomas Tuchel for England, which is a shame for Palmer. And Maresca is hoping that after scans that will take place tomorrow to determine the severity of this muscular injury, that he should be available after international break, but he wasn't too hopeful. So fingers crossed Cole Palmer comes back alongside guys like Noni Madueke and Nico Jackson, with Maresca confirming that he's expecting them to return back after international break. We did see Maresca apologizing to the away fans after this tepid ass performance. Now, I found it funny because he kind of contradicted himself by suggesting to Sky Sports in the post-match commentary that, in fact, there were positives to take from this game. But if there were positives, Enzo, why would he be apologizing to the fans? Now, yes, he could say it's the result, Nini. I get that, but I think it's the manner of the performance and the lack of anything we showed today against Arsenal. I think what annoys me about Maresca's press conferences at the moment is the fact that he doesn't really speak with much honesty. Now, I can understand that these managers, they just play the game. Just say whatever you have to say, be done with your media duties, and that's it. What you have to really say only matters to the team, the squad, the players. That makes sense. I respect that. I get that. But it's a shame that we won't get a real strong understanding behind what is really on his mind. For example, that massive 180 from suggesting that CL football was not the priority to now stressing that we want to secure Champions League football. The players are saying it now. We always knew that this was the case, and I don't see why it would have hurt anyone to reveal the truth from the start. Maresca made comments such as, we competed against Arsenal in what was a very tight encounter, saying that Robert Sanchez was okay. And yeah, man, I was actually getting a bit of head loss, not going to lie. But to continue on with more details in this press conference, Maresca admitted that we did struggle in the first 20 minutes of the game, but then started to control the game and then create. And the second half was 50-50. You know, this word, control, seems to be like a double-edged sword. He mentioned that, personally, I don't know what we controlled. I think the only thing we did control was giving more control to Arsenal to contain us, because we basically defended for Arsenal. You're defending for Arsenal when you're constantly playing the balls out wide, which is what they want you to do, and then you're constantly playing these passes back to your defense. So you're not testing their defense. You're making their lives easy. Outside of Cucurella forcing a mistake from Raya, there was nothing else in our shots. And the reality was Arsenal did not get out of second gear. They did not have to, because we won the game for them by playing in such a negative and scripted fashion. Maresca gave his thoughts on the team's struggles offensively. And he said the big difference is going to be Palmer, Madueke and Nico. He mentioned the fact that if Madueke and Nico were about, then we wouldn't have felt the loss of Cole Palmer as much. And I agree with that assessment. I agree with that statement. He said that even without all three of our main attacking players, but still the second or third best attack in the league. And you know what? He's talking facts here. And I'm sorry, when I was constantly getting negativity for talking about the bigger picture around Nico Jackson and Madueke, at the time, man had these false expectations around Sancho and Neto. And your Felixes and other players, as if that they were secretly better than what Nico and Madueke were offering. Now, these players aren't perfect, but they offer something for the team. And you know, sometimes important things such as movement off the ball and on the ball makes you a better player. Sometimes things like dragging markers with your movements makes you a better player. Case in point, Nico Jackson. Cole Palmer isn't the same without him. Nico offers so much in terms of the pressing. He's unrelenting. The ability to find spaces to help alleviate pressure when we're playing out from deep. He does all of that. Madueke, our most consistent 1v1 threat, who can consistently get past his man compared to our other wingers, who isn't as prone to playing the ball backwards because he can run towards goal. He can run towards the box. He is confident to take his man on. And actually, all three together have a great understanding. I think that was the main reason why they have been our #1 attacking duo throughout this season, because they get each other's game. They get each other's movement patterns, etc., etc. And that's why we look a bit better and we look different when these guys are playing together. So I can accept that from Enzo. And in terms of our lack of belief, that was the next question posed towards Enzo Maresca. Maresca said, listen, we were in the game until the end. I think between the two games at home and today against Arsenal, there was not a big difference. The amount of injuries we have, we competed still. The good thing is we are recovering players. We can go for the final sprint. And the final sprint's the key thing, you guys. 9 games left. But it's a flipping hard one because our first 5 games are against teams underneath us that you think to yourself, we have to win. And the final 4 games, you're looking at your Newcastles, your Uniteds, your Liverpools. This is where our season can unravel. Still, Maresca reiterates that we are on the right path. I'm not too sure, to be honest. I can understand that his system isn't producing its best goods right now. You need to have direct wingers with pace to utilize the wide areas better. You need that. You need more intensity in the middle. You need better receiving between the lines. But equally, there's a few things I think Enzo could do to tweak things up. And I'm going to release a tactics video later this week to just dissect my thoughts, concerns, and observations in greater detail. So you guys stay tuned for that because I'm already putting in work on this right now. But that's pretty much everything you need to know from the press conference. I mean, I wanted to avoid the Sanchez point. I might as well add that in. And Maresca said, listen, Sanchez did some good saves, but he had some moments. He was doing Air Sanchez, not connecting with the ball with his hands. It was mad. In the end, he says he thinks he had a quite good performance overall. But, I mean, yeah, I just don't believe it, man. I think it's absolute cap. And the fact that, I've never seen a player get back so publicly, back so often, only to constantly let the manager down. Yeah, it makes you look a bit silly sometimes when he's not able to perform. And the main weakness with Sanchez, as we all know, it's here. He doesn't have this. So my friends, that's all of Maresca's post-match thoughts. Share your opinions below. Now we discuss the club's plans for the summer window. Getting straight into things, for the consecutive season in a row, we are learning that we must sell before we can buy, which is obvious. And right now, the club are hoping to sell 7 to 8 players to fund moves. In particular, funding moves for a striker. That is the key thing. Now, to add to that, in my opinion, if we secure things such as Champions League football, for example, more flexibility opens up. Because you can imagine we can finally secure some good, sponsorship deals, which we are desperately lacking. And obviously, CL football means more money and TV rights coming through for you. So there's possibilities there. But let's discuss the 7 to 8 players as if it's only 7 to 8. But the main favourites you're looking at are probably Dewsbury Hall, Ben Chilwell, Kepa, Raheem Sterling, Disasi, Nkunku, Felix, and could even argue Badiashile based on the fact that we want to sign another defender. And we've signed a young 20-year-old from Strasbourg in Amadou already. But you know what? There has to be one particular bonus to add to this. I don't think 7 or 8 is enough. That bonus being Robert Sanchez, because it's obvious now that he is not a keeper you can build with. You can't grow with Robert Sanchez. This is his level. His level is not top 4. Yeah, his level is probably top 10, mid-table, and that's that. Let's keep it real. But outside of that, there's still other players that could still leave. Look at your Renato Vegas. He's having a great time at Juventus. Would you want to leave that to come back to what exactly? We've just signed a defender that plays in the position he preferred to play in. But if Badia leaves, that could technically open up a spot for Renato Vega in defence. Let's see what happens there. But you're looking at other players such as Chukwuemeka, who is starting to slowly build more consistency now with Dortmund, and Leslie Ugochukwu. After the signing of Essugo, what does that mean for his future? Do we decide to loan him out again to see how he progresses? Or do we look to fund a sale depending on the right money that comes in? In my opinion, I personally feel most of this business that will get conducted in terms of sales will come from players who can generate the most amount of money. I think key players who will go, Ben, Kepa and Sterling, they have to go to free up funds in that wage bill. When they are gone, more flexibility opens up in terms of what we can do in the market. And we're going to need that. If you're looking to sign a striker, and a good striker, you're not going to be offering this guy 100,000 a week, yeah? If you have to splash 200,000 or a little bit more for a great striker, we might have to do that. That's the level of ambition we need to show. Ideally, and I saw Isak win the game for Newcastle today in the Carabao Cup. Congrats to Newcastle, by the way. I was rooting for these guys. I think we were all rooting for them, to be honest. This is a guy that takes you to different levels you can't even dream of or think about. If I had to fund most sales to do anything in my power to secure Isak, that's the ambition I would like to see. But without CO, why would he come to us? You know what I mean? But outside of that, man, it's a bit disappointing that yet again, like an 11's worth of players are up for sale. It still brings up question marks around how we build and grow for the future, and the sustainability factor, that is key. That's important. We can't keep introducing new faces every single summer, every single window, expecting them to automatically acclimatize into the team. It can't be the case. So hopefully it's a more focused window. We've got talents coming in 2026. We've got Esteval, Willian coming in the summer. Yeah, this is big. Kendry Pires coming through. This is big. We can't be wasting these kids' times or careers here. Let's keep things brutally honest. So my guys, what type of striker would you like to see? I'll release a separate video discussing summer recruitment. I think a realistic one I'd be open to is Sechko. I've given some thoughts and opinions on that. But my dream guy is obviously Alexander Isak, an absolute gunman up front. But quickly to end things with the latest club news on Felix and Essugo. Now, we're learning that Essugo is set to become part of our squad for the summer. This surprised me. Originally, this was going to be a move for Strasbourg. Yes, we know that we signed Amugu so he can go to Strasbourg in the summer. We all know that. I thought that Essugo might be joining him, so they have two guys competing there. That would make more sense to me. So it was a big surprise. I know a lot of people are saying, Nini, we've signed the Moises Caicedo region. Like, we got more depth now. If anything happens to Caicedo, we got our guy. Obviously, it's more the idea of this guy than the reality. He is a talent. He does have promise. But I simply would say this. Signing a first form, Moises Caicedo, doesn't make the squad better. It doesn't mean you're a stronger team. You have another option. You have another body. That doesn't mean your quality, though, has gone up. You just have more quantity. I'm not saying this to be cynical. I'm saying this to be realistic. You know, I've made those mistakes before of thinking youth is like options, signings, blind hope. It don't work like that, you know? It doesn't work like that. I think the guy is good, but he's raw defensively. It's a massive step up to come to us. And I'd be surprised to see how much game time he gets. If Lavia remains fit, and of course I'm going to be backing Romeo Lavia. This guy could be a world-class DM in the future. And I suspect that he will get over these injuries. It will just happen. We've had patience for Gustos and James and Fofanas and everyone else. I don't see why it should be any different to Lavia. So I'm not accepting anything against this guy. But then I just think to myself, what is a raw young DM with energy who's a bit rash in the tackle, a bit over emotional, that needs maybe more minutes and game time to really find himself even more? How does that necessarily give us a quality boost? That's the thing I'm still thinking about. Ideally, I would have been open if we signed like an experienced DM player, a bit of a different profile, or even an experienced mid of a different type of profile, just to add something new and fresh to the team. But imagine if Moises, God forbid, got injured next season. That we're relying upon a first form, 20-year-old raw-ass Caicedo region, who isn't playing like the 23-year-old Caicedo that you would probably need to maintain that level of quality on the field. So It's something that can't be ignored just because we're excited by a new signing. So let's see what happens there. Personally, I wouldn't have signed him. And at the time, I thought this was an investment move that we can maybe watch what this guy does in the future. But I don't know, man. Let's see how things play out. And for the final news, yet again, very briefly, AC Milan, of course, are not looking to exercise any buy for Joao Felix once his loan spell is over. He hasn't started the last 3 games. He's lost his place in the team. This is the biggest confirmation that they do not need him. As I said, the only thing I can see happening is that because Milan miss out on Champions League football, maybe they could entertain keeping Felix for a much more reduced fee and wages, and maybe we find a way to utilize him in a player trade style deal. That's the only thing that I could see working, which keeps Felix at Milan. But the concern is that if Felix doesn't remain at AC Milan, where does he go? Because he quite clearly becomes a player that needs to find a new home again, which brings more stresses. Yet again, more players that we have overinflated values for that need to move on. You're looking at Nkunku. There was a move to Bayern Munich. The price we asked for was ridiculous. And the price will come down even further now in the summer. But it's quite clear that he needs a new home because he just doesn't make sense in terms of whatever it is we're trying to do in this setup right now. So, my friends, that's pretty much all the news today, post-match and all that good stuff. Share your thoughts and opinions. Get involved below. And I will see you guys later because I might be interviewing John Terry. So, for you guys that watch me to the end, I want to, of course, let Terry answer some of your questions. Comment below, what would you ask John Terry tomorrow? Let me know, you guys, and for the good questions, I'm going to use them and I'm going to present them to Terry. So thank you guys for watching. See you all soon.